start it right now. Right, as for the Rapid, the same thing. Very, very strong field with Magnus Carlsen himself playing on board one. He is, for this game, for the Blitz, he is defending world champion. And I'm glad to welcome my co-host for today's show as well as for tomorrow's show. Peter Leko is also with us.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Peter. Very fast, we have to say. So I think for the first round we will look at this one. We will look at Magnus, obviously, the world champion in the classical chess, the defending world Blitz champion. I think already 2 times world champion in Blitz.
Yeah, he has won it a couple of times for sure, and he's facing Ivan Popov, whom I have basically almost mixed up, because in fact I thought he's the one who just won the European Rapid Championship in December, but that was Valery Popov.
Valery Popov, so who is well, actually a grandmaster from St. Petersburg, yeah.
Yeah.
Ivan Popov is from Moscow, 26 something. He is rated in classical chess, well, very serious grandmaster. I'm sure he was European Rapid champion a few years ago. So once
himself,
again,
yeah?
that's for sure was him. So should not be underestimated, obviously. Well, and the funny opening there. I mean, we will not be able to analyze the opening in detail. In fact, we do not have the analysis board on the screen. So the board we have, unlike in Rapid, it's just a board with actual position, which should normally match the board at your left, which is, the 3D view on the real board they are playing. So I think that's the best view for Blitz. So you can see the players, you can see what's happening on the board, you can see what's the situation with the clock.
Yeah, we have seen the Rachmanov variation. Yeah, I think in Dubai Blitz and Rapid World Championship, Rachmanov was the one who popularized this system with knight f6 in the second move.
Yeah, I think it was called Rubinstein variation of Sicilian. I mean, yeah, we are talking about the line which was played in this game, e4, c5, knight f3, knight f6. But obviously, since those times, I mean, there are different ideas for black, and well, it's actually quite an interesting setup. I would say quite ambitious. But yeah, normally should not really equalize for black.
Yeah, basically the idea is more to complicate matters and to bring the fight immediately to some original territory so that your opponent starts to think.
Yeah, but what's interesting, the last recapture with the pawn. Have you seen it? So b takes c3 and Magnus plays b takes c3, keeping the double pawn. So he wants to make use of the semi-open b file.
Exactly.
So the bishop exchanged, then rook a to b1 should be played,
and then queen c6.
Yeah, and then white is dreaming of getting this knight from f3 to somewhere like e4 and eventually d6, I believe. Well, c4.
Yeah, very important move, securing, taking away the d5 square from black.
And yeah, and now I understand that those double pawns make a lot of sense, because you cover, with one pawn you cover d5 square, with the other pawn you cover d4 square.
Yeah, and at the same time you have the d and the b files open for action for your rooks.
Yeah, knight finds a nice outpost on f5, but it can be driven away with g4 later if white can manage this. So something like Queen d3 might be an idea.
Just to very natural.
Yeah, free the square for the knight, protect the knight as well. So maybe somewhere you actually will play g4.
But always, if I go after Queen d3, let's say Bishop e7, I can meet g4 with knight h4.
With knight h4, yeah. So I would say a matter of few moves. The question if white is getting serious advantage or nothing special, right? If black manages to play Bishop e7 castle and doesn't lose, like, say, pawn on d7, doesn't lose any material, then black is just fine. Okay, so...
Yeah, but he's facing concrete problems. He can't castle yet because d7 pawn is hanging, and white is also settling some rook b6 if, for example, black plays rook d8.
Rook d8, then rook b6, and once again, it's awkward. Like, rook d8, rook b6, you will have to go to c8.
Or to a8.
Or a8.
Yeah.
And then, yes, you're holding for now, but it does look somewhat awkward, this position. Okay, and I can imagine it's very tough playing such positions against Magnus. I mean, obviously he knows what he's doing. He's also very, very fast.
Yeah, nevertheless, Magnus has also spent a lot of time, and I think we should also mention that so far the players had been playing 15 plus 10, 15 minutes plus 10 seconds, and now they switch to 3 minutes plus 2 seconds, and those switches are very, very tricky. I mean, the players are not computers, so that you just push a button and they can switch immediately.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's very natural that in the first games the players might be a little bit slow.
Yeah, I would say the hardest part comes when you actually get to an increment, right? Because yes, you understand, I mean, in Sunday Mud, you understand, now it's 3 minutes, so I have to play faster. But when you go to really to play on increment, and now it's instead of 10 seconds, it's only 2 seconds, and you kind of can mix up the pace. You've played with 10 seconds, so you know, you make a move, you have some time to spend, and now you know you don't have any time to spend.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the hardest part, yeah.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, so we were promised, we have a working chart here in front of me, and we were promised that we will be informed about surprises that will happen in those starting rounds. And one of the biggest surprises happened right after the start of the round, because Morozevich, one of the good players in Blitz, just did not show up.
Wow.
Yeah, so already some surprises here. While what happens on the board? So Black did manage to castle, keeping the material balance, but he had to exchange his a6 pawn for a double c pawn of white. So now after rook a1, Magnus is planning to make use of his passed pawn.
But now he's losing the pawn, yeah.
Not any longer, yeah. He's losing his a6 pawn and not much left.
Okay, he got the d7 in return, so he didn't lose a pawn.
Yeah, he's not a pawn down. He still has, I would say, more active pieces, but it's not much left for Magnus, yeah? Right? It's not like some huge advantage. It's once again, it's a matter of the next couple of moves if Black equalizes fully.
Exactly.
Right.
And they are both down to 25 seconds
25
each,
seconds, yeah, indeed. Well, looks like our board from, I mean, the transmission board got stuck like few moves before, right? So knight d4, rook d6, check on f3. Is white any better? That my question will be. Magnus decides to keep the queens.
Yeah.
That's interesting and probably correct. I mean, if you play for a win, yeah, king g2, king is not that vulnerable on g2. In fact, those pawns protect it very nicely, and maybe with queens on the board, he can still hope for some sort of.
But this is not nice for Black. With bishop c7, queen c6, he got a stable setup.
Yeah, and the rook is kind of stuck on d7, right? I mean, what do you do? I mean, rook e7, there is rook d8. That's very unpleasant. And 10 seconds, 11 seconds for Magnus.
For both.
For both, actually, yeah. Rook e8. Nicely played. So that's clearly, it's not about deep ideas or something. You just have to make moves. And look, rook is still stuck on d7. Not much you can do. Bishop h4, bishop c7. You can go bishop d8, I mean, just to exchange the bishops. But then, of course, the resulting position is a draw. Rook d8. Okay, exchanging the rooks. Rook takes, king takes, queen to d3, threatening to go to h7, king g8, bishop g3. Okay, I think now the reaction is what matters. Well, after f5, I would still say that white probably has something. And actually, the resulting bishop's ending is not that pleasant for Black.
It's very dangerous.
f4, f5, Black might lose this one. g6, you still go f4. Then the question is if you can put Black in the Zugzwang. g5, no, this
no,
I don't
g5
really like.
I don't like. Yeah,
I don't
so
really
maybe
like
king
because
g7, you had to keep that.
It's two weaknesses. It's two weaknesses for Black, and then bishop e3 and some Zugzwang's gonna start. Even though you cannot enter with the king that easily. Maybe there is nothing. You just put the king on b6 and you go bishop g7, bishop g7, bishop f8. Gives the pawn, well, nobody is interested in taking this pawn. I was informed of some other interesting results.
But he has some bishop, bishop a5, then you take already on. Okay,
some results. Nepo has won, and Ali Reza Firuzja, the young lad from Iran, has won his game. Nihal Sarin, the little guy from India, has won against Ahmed Adli. So
who is also a big blitz specialist himself.
Yeah. And look at Magnus's time. He already has half a minute. He had 6 seconds some moves ago. Okay, he will be trying, but how do you win this?
But
bishop
it's also
f6, bishop f8, and now the bishop is not moving. which is
exactly.
interesting. Wait, you can take on f6 and go king f8.
Yeah, that's
this
kind
is
of a
just a draw.
question. Yeah,
This is, no, wait.
yeah.
King g6? Did black just misplay it? Because, yeah,
Yeah,
he misplayed it. Because now, look, king e7. I wanted to say e5, king d5, king d5, and then the pawn promotes with a check.
with a check. Yeah,
King c6, e5, goes here, goes c5,
yeah.
and black has lost. Now, that's... We'll see a lot of this in Blitz, so-called illogical results. Obviously, it was a very, very interesting... I mean, the moment he lost it, yeah, and he also lost on time.